What is going on, fam? It is your girl Abiola Akani here with a new YouTube video. Let's all take just a moment to just settle into our bodies just by becoming aware of our breath. And just settle into this video and what might be awakened in you by just watching. If you're new here, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. If you are coming in from watching my last video where I shared a little bit of my thought process before I was going on a silent Buddhism retreat here in the beautiful Costa Rica, then you know that this video is going to be about the after effects or my afterthoughts coming out of the silent Buddhism retreat. If you have not watched that first video, highly recommend you watch it, because I'm sure my demeanor, my energy, and my overall countenance is a lot different from that video from what you're watching now. If you're watching this video, you're most likely interested in going on a silent meditation retreat, also called a Vipassana retreat, or maybe you are interested in the concepts of Buddhism. Or you might be a yoga instructor, space holder, and or seeker, just curious about the many facets of the practice of yoga and what that can look like in different bodies. Depending on whichever angle or perspective you're coming from, I think you will most likely find something that will be affirming for you here in today's video. We officially broke silence from the retreat this past weekend. Today is actually Wednesday, the 8th of June, and I will be premiering this on Thursday, the 9th of June. And I'm feeling a lot of things, but the main thing that I'm feeling, the main sensation that I'm really enjoying getting acquainted with in my body is the removal of urgency and a trust, a deep, deep trust that I'm exactly where I need to be in my life, which has given me this santosha, this contentment that I have been looking for a very long, long time. I'm going to break this video up into 3 parts. So the first one is going to be about what you can expect in a silent retreat, specifically a silent Buddhism retreat that might be able to hold space for you as a yoga instructor, space holder, or someone who is currently interested in studying Buddhism. The second part is going to be some of the things that I learned that might be helpful for you if you are a seeker, if you're looking to make a change in your life or your thought process or in your mindset. And the last thing that I'm hoping to share is this kind of new pathway that's been revealed to me and how that could be applicable to all of us, no matter where we are in our lives right now. So as you can see, I'm much more settled in this video than I was in the first video. That might be because of this beautiful Costa Rican air, but it also is because of the mindset shift that I had entering this retreat and now coming out of it. So what you can expect from a silent Buddhism retreat is pretty much 100% silence. Most of the time they might take your phone and any kind of devices that you use so that you really are completely 100% in silence with your thoughts. You might expect that in a traditional silent meditation retreat or Vipassana retreat. In addition, this retreat focused on the teachings of Buddhism. So in addition to 100% silence, and also our devices and our phones being removed, there was a really tight schedule that we moved with every single day. And that included 4 hours of meditation, where we would wake up at 6 a.m., actually at 5:30 a.m., to get down to the studio space, this beautiful open air studio space, at 6 a.m. every day, where we would start with 1 hour of meditation called a limitless love meditation that focused on some of the principles of Buddhism. After that, we would move into reciting mantras. The specific mantra that we recited was Om Mani Padme Hung, which is a mantra that basically says, let my thoughts, words, and actions embody the divine compassion of the Most High, so that I can help free all beings of suffering. Within the retreat, we did 4 hours of meditation each day, and we recited that specific mantra 3,500 times. So it was a pretty intense schedule, but I was really thankful for the schedule. One of the things you'll learn in a silent retreat, when you don't have the ability to speak or to look at your devices like your phone or anything to see what time it is, your body starts to find its natural circadian rhythm, and you start to find a sense of time within your own body. You might notice that you're naturally waking up at 5 a.m. For me, I am an early bird, but not by practice. It's not something that I practice very regularly. And what I was worried about is, how am I going to be able to get up at 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. each day to make that 6 a.m. call time for the meditation without an alarm or even a watch? The body naturally starts to wake up and find its circadian rhythm and wake up with the sun. You're flowing with the energy of time. You're flowing with the energy of the day. So you're waking up with this energy, and then you're settling in and finding that you're naturally tired by the end of the day, which allows you to wake up really early so easily. Another thing that you notice is when you are in silence, you start to hear how much you talk in your head. So for the first few days, I didn't even notice that there was no talking, because there was so much chatter and talking happening in my head that it still seemed quite loud. And slowly during the retreat, that starts to taper off, and your thoughts become a lot more refined, because you have the ability to focus on what you want to think about. So when thoughts come in that you don't want to be infiltrating your mind, you can say stop, and they will stop. Now, when it comes to the studies of Buddhism, this was a true Buddhism awakening for me. Some people don't know that I identify as a Christian, a follower of Christ. I grew up Muslim. My family was devout Muslim. However, when I was in university and around the time that I started practicing yoga, I also started to study Christ consciousness, not from a dogmatic lens, but from an apostle who was also very expansive in the teachings that he was offering of Christ consciousness. And he's been my apostle for 10 years. And I've also been opening myself up to multiple studies as I've continued to grow in yoga philosophy. Although I wasn't specifically looking for Buddhism teachings, I did find myself guided to them from this particular Buddhism teacher, and it was really phenomenal, because I found that these teachings supported all the teachings that I continue to learn about Christ and yoga philosophy. Now, to give you just a little bit of a breakdown of what Buddhism is, the principles of Buddhism in a nutshell, and I'm still learning this, is that nothing has a nature. So everything is absent of a nature unless we give things nature. So you give me a nature by watching me on YouTube. based on what you want me to mean for you. You give me a nature that might be the nature of a yoga teacher or yoga educator, or I might be something for you because you're looking for a yoga teacher who's a Black woman, and so that has its own meaning. You are giving me a nature based on your own needs. Everyone we interact with, we are giving them a nature because things are absent of nature beyond the nature we give them. Yes, we are soul beings, living soul first, having a human experience, and within our soul vessels or within our soul bodies, we are also a spectrum of divinity. We are so many things beyond the nature that we give each other. So as we're giving things nature because they are absent of a nature, we start to look at what is the nature that I'm giving someone? What is the nature I'm giving my mother? What is the nature I'm giving my father, my sister, my friends, my siblings? Am I giving them a nature based on the suffering that they have caused me or the harm that they might have done? And am I only putting them in that box? In doing so, I'm planting karmic seeds within my funnel, within my mindset, and those seeds are going to give me more of the nature that I am projecting onto this being. When I began to learn this, I started to really see, wow, when it comes to my family or the people in my life who have harmed me, I am giving them that nature. Yes, they caused harm. And I'm perpetuating that suffering for myself and for them by continuing to give them that nature, by choosing not to see them in the other spectrums that they embody. I know that, if anything, one of those spectrums is an embodiment of love and compassion. And I can choose to begin to see them through that lens and receive them through that lens and give them that nature just by how I see them. And that was really challenging for me to accept during this Buddhism retreat, because there's been a lot of people who have done me harm. And I literally would have moments where I would just break down, because it was through those meditations that I was able to see them through a spectrum of love. And that was mind-blowing. So Buddhism is ultimately all about understanding that things are absent of a nature, and in doing so, understanding the wisdom and the emptiness of all things, so that we can have a better discernment as to what causes suffering and change the nature to a nature of love and compassion, so that we can get more love and compassion. We are building that. We create that by the nature we choose to assign to every human being and every being beyond human, every animal, every plant, everything. Now, one of the major things that I learned during this, that was a really big wake-up call for me, was that I overcompensate seeking of enlightenment because I'm extremely dissatisfied, or have been extremely dissatisfied with myself and my life. So I've been efforting my way into enlightenment. If you are a seeker, a yoga educator, or yoga teacher, or space holder, or anything of the kind, you might relate to that because I'm so dissatisfied or unhappy with my life, I'm going to overcompensate with this seeking of enlightenment to try to change things. But the vehicles for enlightenment are not efforting. So enlightenment does not come from efforting your way towards it. Enlightenment comes by the embodiment of love and compassion. Because that is what enlightens our bodies. So know that if you're feeling dissatisfied or unhappy with your life, the way it currently is, efforting is not your vehicle anymore. Your vehicle is love, compassion, and bliss, which are alive in our bodies. We just have to receive them and begin to embody those things as we give other things nature. Use love and compassion to give something a nature. Use bliss to give something a nature. And as we do so, we get more of that. And we also grow and expand in enlightenment, because love, kindness, and compassion are enlightenment. They are the vehicles to it. How freeing it is to know that we don't have to grind to enlightenment, but we can love to enlightenment. That's the vehicle. The next major thing that I learned, y'all, this one was a big one, is eliminating this belief that suffering is required. So many of us as Black and brown folks especially, or folks from the LGBTQ community or marginalized communities, or folks who have felt othered, we constantly feel like we have to fight all the time. That dulls our enlightenment, because we're not required to fight. The fact that I have permission to respond in love and compassion blew my mind. Because in doing so, I create a nature, or give things a nature of love, compassion, and kindness, and those are the seeds that I plant karmically. As opposed to continuing to live in this somewhat limited mindset of how I choose to see things and give them a nature of harm, which I need to constantly protect myself from. Who knew that we could just have permission to respond in love just as easily as it comes up in our bodies? I can respond to that first unction of compassion rather than that second learning of resistance. So if you are looking to go on a silent meditation, whether that be of a Vipassana style retreat or more on the Buddhism side, I highly recommend it. Whichever path you're choosing to take. There's a lot of noise happening in our minds, because there's a lot of white noise happening in the world. And the more that we get the wisdom and the methods to infiltrate our thoughts and only open up space for the thoughts that we want, the freer we are going to become. And at the end of the day, with every being, from a small ant to flying birds to human beings, what we all want is more freedom. The ability to be free. And that is extremely possible for every single being on this earth. Truly, what non-performative living is about is this freedom to love and to find unity with all things, despite what it looks like. One of the teachers at the retreat shared that with me, and that was so profound, because I always equated freedom to space, but freedom is true unity with everything, despite how it looks. I can see myself in the smallest ant. I can see myself in the flying birds. I can see myself in the face of a police officer. I can see myself in anything that looks ugly and beautiful, because I am creating the nature of everything I see. So it's me. What need do I need to perform if I am everything? Let me love it because it's a reflection of myself. We all want freedom. And we all deserve it. And that has just blew my life up. It's just blown my life up, y'all. A lot of change on the horizon. A lot is happening. And I encourage you to stay tuned on my Instagram at Yoga by Viola and stay plugged into EA. There's a lot more compassion work that's going to be poured into that platform. And I look forward to sharing a little bit more about Costa Rica with y'all if you're looking to travel here based on some recommendations that I have. For those who are looking to really sit and settle and seek. And I look forward to chatting more with y'all. Continue to be well. Sending y'all my love.